In today's video, I'm gonna share the #1 tip to avoid getting catfished as home buyers within the Toronto and GTA real estate market. What am I referring to? I'm referring to the classic old issue of browsing online for homes, whether it's on Realtor.ca, Condos.ca, Zillow, House Sigma. You're going through photos of properties, listings for sale, and you look at the photos and you say the house is so bright, so spacious, the bedrooms, there's so much I can do with it, have a king size bed to end tables, and lo and behold, once you go visit the property fails to live up to expectation, because guess what? The listing you were looking at utilized professional photography. Professional photography at times, in the best case scenario, uses wide angle lenses. In the worst case scenario, some people actually use wide angle lenses, play with the saturation, play with the exposure, color code the pictures, and the photos become extremely misleading to the point of a classic old real estate catfish. So as a Toronto and GTA real estate agent who primarily in this down market is working with a lot of buyers, I want to share in today's video the #1 tip I can provide you as an agent to avoid the catfish issue. So what is that tip? Well, let's get to it. Let's take a look at an example and I'll show you step by step what I do sometimes to ensure that the photos are, if exaggerated, minorly exaggerated and not an extreme exaggeration to the point of a unfortunate catfish scenario. All right, so let's start with an example, right? I'm just gonna search a building, for example, that I know is a little prone to catfish. It's not a bad building, but sometimes the photography of units for sale in this building do a little bit of a too good of a job emphasizing the space, because this building is known for miniature unit sizes, which is 48 and 50 Power Street by Great Golf. Once again, I like Great Golf. Is this my favorite Great Golf building? No, they have some better buildings, they have some worse. I would say middle tier Great Golf building, but this building has a lot of small units. That's one of the things I can say, is that the units in this building are quite small. Nonetheless, let's go and randomly pick a unit that's for sale here. You know what? Let's just pick this one, unit 1213, that's for sale. Let's go through the pictures first, right? This is the for sale listing, a listing any home buyer can come across and find intriguing, right? Professional photography, no question, right? The building, exterior photos, where it's located. We keep going, more photos of the retail on the ground, now the lobby, and now we get into the photos of the units, right? The photos of the units, are they the best professional photos ever? No. Me as an agent myself, if I'm bringing a unit on to market for sale, I always like to declutter the unit for the photos to be taken, and I typically tend to want to take the pictures of the unit in a vacant state, so with staging, but when the tenant has already moved out, or if the homeowner currently lives there, it's been extremely decluttered, right? You have like the remote control here, you have the vacuum. Is it gonna make or break a deal? No, but it's unseemly, and in my opinion, in today's market, which is a down market, hard for sellers to offload units, unseemly things better avoided. And once again, you can look at my listings. My listings typically don't have these things. Nonetheless, that's not the point of today's video. We are looking at the photos, kind of derive a general understanding of the geography of the units, right? And this looks very spacious. This picture here looks quite spacious. You have the column, but floor to ceiling windows, angular layout. But there's no doubt in my mind, and I speak to buyers every single day, that a buyer will look at this and say, wow, bright, spacious, high ceilings, a lot that can be done with the space. And look, the furniture is there, right? How tight can it possibly be? So you may be asking yourself right now, what is the tip, Sam? Well, how can we avoid getting catfish? Like, how do I know if that unit is a catfish? How do I know those pictures are a catfish? Misleading, overly exaggerated, hyperbolic? Well, you're in luck, because the tip is, anytime you find a unit for sale, whether it's a downtown unit, whether it's a detached freehold home in the suburbs, look at the listing history. Look if the unit or the home for sale that you're currently looking at has ever been on market for rent. Why for rent? Because, and I'm once again speaking as a Toronto and GTA realtor, 9 out of 10 agents will spend the money, will spend the resources to get the professional photography done, to get the professional staging done, to get, in some cases, virtual staging, which is borderline a scam in my opinion, get the virtual staging done for listings that are for sale, because these things are not cheap. This is the marketing costs. Professional photography packages range from $300 to, in certain cases, $750 per listing. So most realtors will spend that money for a listing that's for sale. But what they won't do, and once again, not all, but most, what they won't do is spend that money for a listing that is for rent. Typically, rental listings have very unprofessional photos, just with a cell phone or just an amateur with a camera, not a professional. And those photos can tell a whole different story. Let's take a look at an example. So this same exact listing, 12, 13, and 50 power, let's go through the history. And guess what? We see in 2022 and 2023, there was a for lease listing. Now let's take a look at the one from 2022 because it seems as if it was the same set of photos used for the 2023 photos just from this icon. This more outdated one was probably not the same set of photos, so let's take a look at it. And when we bring the for lease listing, and off the bat, we see a whole different landscape here. Let's go through the photos. We see that these photos are not professionally done. One of them was taken at nighttime, and this photo tells a more accurate story. It's a more fair depiction of what the space actually is. Now, to be fair, as I'm going along for this ride here on these for lease photos, just comparing and contrasting them to the previous photos, and you have some illustrations here. We'll go back, let's bring up the main living room photo in this case, which is this one. Just comparing and contrasting this one to the professional photos, this is not that egregious of an example, right? I've seen way more egregious examples. It seems like in this case, the professional photos were a little bit exaggerated, but not severely to the point of an extreme catfish. This one, it seems as if it was a little bit closer. And once again, this is a randomly picked one, right? Undoubtedly, I can find really egregious examples if I wanted to. So to be fair to this listing, this was not an egregious case. But this tip can be applied to any listing, any home for sale that you come across online. So to reiterate, if you see a home for sale and you're looking at the photos seem very attractive, very nice, very sexy, very sleek, but something raises suspicion, or your agent knows the building and says, listen, this building has a lot of small units. I would not be surprised if the units are actually smaller than the pictures, which is a thing I've sent a million times to my clients via email. Those clients who found me from YouTube, they can attest that I've provided that commentary and feedback on listings via email. Nonetheless, if something raises suspicions, go check the listing history. See if that listing has ever been on market for rent and see what the rental photos look like, because I promise you the rental photos will be a more accurate depiction. Now, let me tell you where this strategy and tip can go wrong and how you should apply it and be mindful of one item, which is sometimes the rental photos are so unprofessional, so bad, so slapdash that they actually go the other way around. They might do a really bad job of depicting what the space is like on the other side of the spectrum, make the space appear smaller than it actually is, darker than it actually is, and kind of under-deliver what you see in reality, the reverse catfish. So be mindful of that as well. That's why you should always consult a professional when you are a home buyer, especially someone who has specific expertise in the buildings in question, or if it's for a freehold detached property, semi-detached, or townhome in those particular streets and neighborhoods. Common sense, straightforward, but a lot of people haven't really ever thought of it, and I'm happy to share it with you guys. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe. My contact information in the description box and was on the screen earlier in the video. Get in touch with any buying, selling, or leasing inquiries. Thank you.